So hello, here we are. I decided to click the button a little bit earlier just to make sure that the connection is established and that we can start on time with this first live stream from my profile on Facebook. Hello, Angela and Pelagia. So nice to see you. Yeah, so the technology seems to work. And I'm really excited to use this technology to be with you this evening. Because as some of you know, we were meant to meet with this women's circle that we now have monthly. And we were supposed to meet this evening, and I was looking forward to see you. But my little one is not feeling great, and I took the opportunity to really stay with her. She's doing much better, so that is great. But I couldn't really see you face to face, so it's wonderful to see you. Hi, Pelagia. Hi, Hazel. So nice. I know you are together as well. Great. Nothing like face to face. In any case, I decided to take this time that some of you had put aside to join us and to come together and first to connect, and second perhaps to discuss some of the matters that are so important that we analyze and that we learn about in a group setting. Hello, my darling Elise. Thank you for joining. So yeah, so what we were going to discuss in our meeting, The Woman of Me, it was very much like a general opportunity to connect and to gather from those that managed to meet the matters that are more significant. But so as I am on this side and I am the only one talking, whilst you are very welcome to come and give me your feedback, your questions, and be there. I'm the only one with really a voice. I took the advantage of deciding the subject. And the subject for this evening is limiting beliefs. And why I decided for this subject is because it was one of the great feedbacks that I normally get from my workshops and the work I do as a coach with my clients in personal development and overcoming the challenges of life. It's really a big subject in coaching. And it has to do with the fact that we are aware that sometimes there is something stopping us, that we want to go in a certain direction in our lives. We want to achieve a different level, whatever it is. Either we want to change career, either we want just a promotion in the same job, we just want a more recognition, or we want to improve our relationship, or our partnership has come to an end and we want to give the next step, or we want to have children, or traveling, or actually we don't know what we want. But what is in common with these stages in life is that very often we come to a situation where we realize that something is stopping us. And that is normally attributed to limiting beliefs. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Philippe. Hi, Maria Eduarda. And Louise. Oh, lovely to see you, Louise. Long time no see. So limiting beliefs are normally the cause of what we find that we are stopping. At an intellectual level, there's many things that can stop us around the way, of course, physical obstacles, opportunities that didn't turn out the way we want. But this evening we're going to talk about the beliefs that we have that may be preventing us from going to the next level. And why is this so important? Because a great part of us is defined by what we believe. These are many schools of psychoanalysis, coaching, spirituality. We know that we are defined by what we believe. And throughout our education, with our experience and with our fantastic observations that we take from the world, some of those beliefs are formed and they give us information, or more than an information, the context of what we are going to do in the future and how we can operate and what is the context that we can operate in this world. So to give you an example, a child that is brought up in an environment that is very loving is gathering the information that the world is a loving place. And that is fundamental, a belief that this person grows up with. And so it's very likely that this being is going to demand from the world to be loving. So this is how we are determined. But very often, the circumstances, the experiences we take do not give us the best, let's say, positive outlook. And that is not necessarily a bad thing. If we know that cities are busy and we grow up in a busy city, we can grow up with an idea that, yes, we have to be careful. So the belief will be, if I live in a busy city, I must be more attentive when crossing the street. This seems very simple, but this is a belief that actually protects me. It stops me from crossing the road, but protects me. Now, there are beliefs that stop us, but they are not really protecting me. They are very likely to be an illusion. They might have been useful in the past, but in the present, they might be doing exactly the opposite. Rather than protecting us and making sure that we are safe, these beliefs about our environment, about the world we live in, about others, and above all about ourselves, may be stopping us from trying new things, from crossing that road even when it's safe. So that's why, of course, as you can more or less starting to imagine, we are very likely to need to analyze what are the beliefs that are useful and protect us, and what are the beliefs that, by not being so realistic, may be stopping us from getting to the next level, from crossing that road. So this is the point of doing a live stream. I'm very happy that you are joining me, and don't forget to put the comments and to ask me for questions. And what is for you a limiting belief? Can you identify now what is a limiting belief that you can already see? Because that's the first step of working with limiting beliefs. First, we must identify them. And like I said before, they very often come under the form of I am. I am a loud person. It's very likely that I'm going to take some of my own beliefs around my personal life. As you can imagine, it's perfect. And that's why I do what I do, because I got to a much nicer level in my life throughout the years. And that is my passion, to share with you not necessarily the same tools that I apply, but definitely a strategy of getting to know yourselves better so you achieve your full potential. That is my line. Achieve our full potential in this realm, in this opportunity that we have to live in this world. As human beings, as men, as women, as our own definitions of ourselves, let's achieve our full potential in health, in abundance, in love and connection. So that is really my motto. But today we're talking about limiting beliefs. So again, limiting beliefs. Can you identify any of your limiting beliefs? Fantastic. I make you think. Okay, so I'm going to give you the example. I am loud. Okay, that is an observation. But in order to be a belief, let me put you really how it will look like. The fact I am loud pushes people away. So let's say that I've had experiences in my life where I have been observing that after circumstances where I got enthusiastic and I spoke a little bit loud my opinion or by my emotions, it was followed by a circumstance when the person that I was communicating with or the people I was communicating with left. So it may have been cause and effect, which is a really good way of building beliefs. But what is really interesting is what transforms from this observation is that then I start believing that if I am loud, I will not have friends, or if I am loud, I will be pushing people away. If I am loud, I am going to be by myself. Others will leave. So that is a belief system. And it's limiting if I decide to stop being loud. Now, being loud may not be the best thing to do in certain occasions. But if being loud is associated with my capacity to express myself, then is it really okay to start shutting myself down and stop myself expressing a great part of me which is truthful, which may be resulting from my culture or my passion or even my mechanisms of association between voice volume and expressivity and excitement? So that is when a belief, well, actually, it's when an observation is transformed into a belief and starts limiting me. So having given you this example, I look forward to read in the comments the beliefs that you may have around your reality and that you can say already that limit you. Another common belief that we have, and this is general, but it's very common, is if I am truthful, others will judge me. Now, this is general, isn't it? We live in a society that, if we were to say the truth all the time, we will be in trouble. On the other hand, sometimes if we don't say the truth is when we get in trouble. So the same belief system, the same belief may be empowering, may be a warning, may be getting as an idea how the world works. So if I'm not truthful, it's perhaps better for me in certain occasions, let's say in negative interactions where, I don't know, it just comes to me in a burglary or something. But we're talking about here about our belief systems that are about us and that will stop us from getting to the next level. So let's just start with that. We are on a path of evolution or development, of healing, of progression, of connection, of health. We are on that path. And what we're talking about is beliefs that we have in us that stop us from getting to the next level. So, hello, those that are joining today. So our belief that is around, if I tell the truth, I'm going to be judged by others, it's an important one, very important one. Because, for example, very often we are in a relationship. Let's take the typical one, okay? We're talking about mature relationships. There's no children around Facebook. Let's talk about it. And let's say that a couple are together and they've been together for a few years and now they actually know that something is missing in their intimacy. And they might want to try new things. And one of the partners said to the other, I really would like to try this different way of having a sexual encounter with you. I like to love differently, or I'd like to try a different position, or what, I actually haven't felt very satisfied lately. So these are all truths. And the other person is likely to come into an interaction that is that there is something that will affect the other. So you might judge, you might say, oh, it's changing. You now don't want to know about myself, or you want to go and get with someone else and have sex with other persons. And so because of the fear of the consequences, we stop being truthful and we don't tell the other how we feel, what is really going through us, what is the essence of our desires, because we fear of being judged. We fear the consequences. So how do we get on with this? Let's think about how can we overcome this belief, which in this case is limiting. And why is limiting? Because if I don't tell the truth, what is the solution? What is the alternative to tell the truth? So, lovely. Thank you so much for your comments. I'm going to let you think whilst I'm reading your comments. They are so wonderful. So Pelagia says, I have something similar to you. I find that I have the limiting belief of being too much. Yes, very familiar, Pelagia. I often feel that I get passionate and I can get loud too. Yes, exactly. So when were we too much? You know, we should analyze that. Where did we get this? Which were the circumstances where we start perceiving that being loud was not a good thing, that being too much, that being passionate was not a good thing? Let's think about that, because that's exactly how I would like to take this conversation. It's a really good one. And then Elise say, I find it hard sometimes to realize when a protective belief is no longer serving me and has become limiting, especially in relationships. This is a brilliant, brilliant point. That's exactly why. How can we first realize that we have a belief? Second, is that a protective belief, or is that a limiting belief? So how do we differentiate? Okay, so normally a belief is there for a good reason. A belief is made out of our perception of the world, and I really trust. This is also part of my approach to health and to the expression, is that we are normally doing things for our own good, for our survival, and whatever comes up is normally a good thing. But, like you say, Elise, sometimes it stops serving us. So we have to reprogram. And that's the problem with human beings. Once we adjust our behaviors, our mind settings into a certain way, it's hard to reprogram. And that's another thing that I work, how to reprogram our brain, how to reprogram our attitude towards relationships. How can I release myself from the previous traumas and start from zero? How can I recover my innocence about people? How can I believe again? How can I trust again? How can I start a new career? So all these things, how can I reprogram? How can I start from zero? Well, the first thing is to really identify the belief. So it would be nice to have more examples of you. So I will carry on with this idea of truth. So let's say, when is truth not really the best thing to share? Yeah, I mean, interestingly, I say that I'm a truth seeker. It's very spiritual to say I'm a truth seeker. I'm a bit obsessed with truth. And those of you that know me a bit better, then you know what I'm talking about. But yes, when is truth not a good thing? Yeah, I can imagine who is laughing. Well, truth sometimes is not a good thing, or perhaps the only time when truth is not a good thing is when we actually don't know the truth. So not knowing our own truth may be leading us to be judged, because what happens when we don't know our truth, very often we have several truths. So one day we have a desire for something and we want our partners to behave in a certain way, and then the second day we actually have a different opinion, and our partner came home and offered us the thing that we may have asked, but that day doesn't feel good, and somehow we don't react the way they were expecting. And but we spoke the truth the first day, and then we spoke the truth the next day, and it's always different truth because we actually don't know our truth. And as Elise comments so wisely, is when it's someone else's truth. Exactly. So it's not good to speak a truth that is not our truth. And very often we establish relationships and lovely, and we love the other person, and when we are communicating, we are not communicating from a place of authenticity. So one day it may sound like something else. One day it may seem that, I really would like you to be more caring and be more around me and ask more how I've been doing. And then the next day we feel like, no, don't ask me. Don't ask me anything. I'm independent. I don't need your support. I'm totally okay in my world. And you know what? You asking me how I am every day makes me feel constrained. It's complicated, isn't it? So, okay. So beliefs. How? First is to identify our beliefs. First is to identify who we are. Yogi Bhajan, who is someone I'm studying very intensively these days, said, I am is the only thing that we should really be focusing. And whilst we do this work of finding our real truth, then the beliefs start coming out. Okay? And so like it was said before, the truth one day, not speaking the truth may have served us, because actually not speaking a truth that is not ours may have saved us from confusing others. But when we definitely know our truth and we no longer can ignore our truth, no longer we can bypass this awareness of who we are and where we want to go, then we start taking responsibility. And part of that taking responsibility is honoring that awareness. It may be that we are not able to put it out there. Like we said before, the belief that if we say our truth, we are going to be judged by others. That is a very strong belief. And normally when we have this is because we had clear experiences that confirmed to us that when we were truthful, we were judged, we were hurt, we very likely were excluded, and ultimately we might have been abandoned. And the sense of abandonment, the exclusion, is one of the most intense and damaging to humans. Humans that are excluded more than they go away and they become their own hermits, but a human being who is excluded at any stage of his life is suffering one of the biggest traumas that we can imprint on us. So it's very important to have this awareness in groups, in schools, at work spaces. Whenever we are excluding someone else, we are doing one of the worst things that we can do to that person. So yes, so hello, those that have joined. I haven't seen some of you for so long. It's so nice to see you here. We are connected. We must come together. But so carry on this matter. Okay, so what can we do once we've identified this truth in us? And now we have the belief that if we express this truth, we are going to be judged by others. Okay, now let's be realistic, okay? It's very likely that we are going to be judged by others. Let's not be politically correct and fairies in the sky. It's not true. We live in a very judgmental society. Look at, here I am. I'm talking to you. You are so kind. And you're putting likes and everything. But I'm sure there will be people out there having all sorts of other thoughts and of opinions about myself, about me. How can I avoid that? I can't. And that is the other part of the awareness. What is the part of the belief that is in me? It's in my space. And it's under my control. The part of the belief that is part of my experience and not something that comes from others. Because we live in a judgmental society, but also, particularly in the Western world, we live in a society that is becoming freer and more diverse, and with so many people expressing different things. So the likelihood of us judging each other is increasing. And yet, so we cannot say, yes, be diverse, be free, and then expect there not to be judgment. Judgment comes normally from a place of fear, of ignorance, of not knowing the place of the other, not putting each other's shoes, all these things. So judgment is going to happen. So on one hand, it's a sign that we have a good, diverse society. On the other is the consequences of being in a judgmental society. So there is that part that we cannot control. But what we can definitely do is to, okay, so I don't want to be abandoned. I don't want to feel excluded. And it's really time to tell my truth, because it's making me ill if I don't tell my truth. If I'm not telling my truth, I'm not getting what I need from my relationship. If I don't tell my truth, I don't get paid as much as I know that I deserve. If I don't tell my truth, I'm not giving my best to others because I'm suppressed, because I'm not expressing my music or my art or my science. So I can carry on telling my truth, but I'm going to be judged by others. Okay, let's put that on standby. So what happens is that then between this consequence of being isolated, or being judged, there is a step that we can take responsibility to either avoid or prepare ourselves for. Okay, so I believe that one of my practice is when we look into our beliefs, we speak in the first person. So this is the first tip I give you. First, you identify something that has been there for you and that you have experienced and you have taken a consideration and make a conclusion about how the world works around you. And then once you identify that belief, you speak in the first person. Okay, so how would this be? How would this look like? I cannot speak my truth without being judged. Let's transform this. Yes. If I speak truth, I will be judged by others. But if I look at, okay, so what happens if I'm judged by others? If I'm judged by others, I'm going to be excluded. Then the belief is, if I speak my truth, I'll be excluded. So we can start looking into the places that we don't want to exist, we don't want to happen. I do not want to be excluded. So we start finding the solutions. So how can I be truthful and not be isolated and not be excluded? The judgment we know is going to happen. And now how we can prevent what is really going to affect us. The judgment may not affect us, but what really is affecting us is the potentiality of being isolated and excluded. So there we go. We now have a way of dealing with the same belief, but now we have looked into a way that we can avoid the consequences. Okay, and so can you tell me ways that we can prevent from being isolated or excluded? Okay, so that comes with taking action into being surrounded by people that will accept us, surrounded by people who perhaps have the same opinions, surrounded by people who might not have the same opinions, but we are interested in knowing someone who thinks differently to them. So that takes work. So now we went from a belief that was tells us that, oh, I cannot express myself because I'm going to be judged, into a place that, oh, I cannot express myself because I'm going to be excluded or isolated, into empowerment. No, I will make sure that when I say the truth, I am in an environment where people can accept me, where people accept me. So we've done a step. Yes, but I only have cool friends. Of course. That's when the Elise says, that's when we have cool friends, right? Is when we say, oh, my friends are so cool. And I have to say, I've always, during all my life, I had friends from all sorts of backgrounds. It perhaps comes from my own family experience. We traveled the world, or part of it, and we met people from so many different cultures, and impossible to have people with the same opinion all the time. Impossible not to be judged, but definitely what we had in common, particularly as I was growing up, is this, well, yeah, oh, really? You think that? You believe that? Okay. But that was really a good example, you know, of being able to express our truth. I'm not saying that I grew up without very big limiting beliefs around telling the truth, but my limiting beliefs have been a bit different. I've been more about being myself, like Pelagia said before, being too much, which we can always go there. I'm really excited to talk about that. Yeah, so, but turning the corner is that is the way that we can really differentiate between a belief that may be limiting us now, but may not be, yes, it's limiting us now, but it's no longer necessary. Maybe have been protective to us, but now is no longer necessary. So, okay, and so let's put this in the context of the work that I do. There's a beautiful thing that happens when we do the workshop Woman of Me. It's particularly on that workshop that I work with limiting beliefs. It's interesting because it's very powerful to work on limiting beliefs in a group setting. I also do it in coaching sessions and in my health programs with my clients, that we go deep into the things that need to be reprogrammed, that need to be transformed, that need to be supported. So limiting beliefs are on the thread of our work. But in a group setting, you should see, it's amazing, powerful to get up, each of the participants, and speak about their limiting beliefs, the beliefs that they have, the limits they have, the beliefs they have of others limiting them, the beliefs that we all believe the world has or works, the way the world works, that needs to temper us and to stop us from doing certain things. And it's very powerful, and it's so beautiful to see that actually so many of us believe opposite things. And so when we are in a group setting, whilst one person is saying, if I eat too much, I get fat, therefore I don't get a boyfriend, or in this case, in heterosexual relationship. And the other person opposite to the room will say, by being thin, I attract not caring people. So it's wonderful. I was going to say insane, but nothing is insane. It's so beautiful. So that's why in the Woman of Me, it's one of the highlights of our starting. We start that in the powerful, beautiful evening on Friday, because together we go like, okay, so what is society have been telling us? What have we been telling us all these years? And are they good or are they negative? That's the thing, is that we don't separate, because like we have said, a belief may be useful and protective in a certain environment, but not necessarily in the next context that we live. And above all, we must check if that belief is not hindering our progression and our reprogrammation to the next level. So let's take another example. Let's say I am thinking in the terms of career, for example. I must, for example, very often people say that they must earn better, be in a safe working environment in order to progress and in order to be successful. So that is very often the case in many working environments. As we know, if we are working for others, it's important that we have a routine, that we perform regularly, particularly if we are working in jobs that are more technical and less creative. But a person who has found out that their truth lies in being creative and manifesting a working life that comes from creating new things, from an artistic expression, or from just imagining new ideas and putting them forward, this person is very likely to not be able to fit themselves in an environment where less creativity is demanded and more regularly work performance. So the belief that I must be working in a safe, routine manner before I can be successful. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit complicated because this is the thing about live stream, is that we have so many things happening at the same time. This belief now will not be very useful and above all supportive of a person who wants to change a career. So first we need to analyze, is this truth? It may be truthful in certain countries. We don't know. It may be truthful in the village where that person is now living, and no one has a different job or a different profession or in a creative manner. But if this person is placed in an environment where creative work is encouraged, then that belief may change, and this person, the same person, will see that, hey, there are so many people having a creative job and that is not regular. Every day they do something different. Sometimes they are very productive, other days they are not productive, and look at them, they are so successful. So what this person needed was exposure. That's the other thing about limiting beliefs. We sometimes cannot change them just by intellectualizing. We need to expose ourselves to situations where we see that the limiting belief does not apply. So there is really an amazing wide range of tools that we can apply once we've identified a belief we have, how the world works, how others will react, how we are. And once we've identified, we can then transform and make this belief into something which is empowering. So we are now talking in empowering beliefs. So we've transformed the limiting beliefs into empowerment. So it's and Andrea Fenner says, here is to living and speaking our truth without fear. Exactly. It's really interesting. Let me see other questions that you may have sent. Around limiting beliefs. So yeah. So anyway, let me then give you, yes, I can see different examples. It's truth. Tell people stop trusting me. Yes. Oh, yes. Trust. Angela said about she was spoken over and ignored. So very lovely examples. It's so nice to be able to connect with where you are at and your ideas. Thank you so much. I am my brain is working on a very parallel level as well here with you. It's incredible, and I do not have a limiting belief around multitasking. That's a good thing. So let's see if this works. But Yes, Angela says something that is really common as well, but in her case, very, very vulnerable, which is the belief that if I fail to accomplish what I have committed to, I will lose the trust from others. People will stop trusting me. Yes, and again, an observation that you may have had during your life. You may have, for some reason, not delivered something that you thought you would deliver. And this is a really good example, which actually I spoke about this in my last video. I made a video around self-esteem. It's on Facebook too. And yeah, let me know what you find about it. But I speak about self-esteem, and I speak when not liking the way we look may be a good thing. And when we don't like something we've done, may be actually a good thing. And like perhaps happens to all of us, we have failed to deliver something that we said we were going to. Oh, gosh. Okay. And then the persons that were expecting the results didn't hire us anymore, went elsewhere, or stopped contacting us, or changed the way they contacted or the way they spoke to us about work. So, yes, it is an observation. Now, that belief can be useful. That, yes, if I say to people, I'm going to deliver something in my word, or I'm going to do these things to my children, and then I don't, having a belief that people will stop trusting me can be quite a good barometer, can be not more than a barometer, an inspiration. Okay, I must stick to my truth. I must stick to the idea that I've made a commitment. And it can be interesting because trust is another thing that human beings develop in a way that makes us more intimate. And intimacy is healthy. So it's normal that we use trust as a currency, okay? So that belief may help us, but it can reach to a stage where fearing of not accomplish a task and therefore losing the trust by others stop us from starting those tasks before we even started. And may start shaping all our world around. We may not commit at all to things. And so people ask us, oh, would you come to the party? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I better not say. And then we haven't committed. We haven't said that we are going to do something. And the others are not expecting us to do either. So again, trust is not built. So how can we change a belief that may have come from an observation into something that inspires us without us getting too obsessive about accomplishing our tasks? I will be very quick on this one. So the first thing I will do would be to first be really realistic about what I expect from myself. So when I say I'm going to do something, I stop, I center myself. I make plans. I imagine myself doing that. And I see if it fits in my calendar, if it fits in my financial allowance, if it fits into my own energy levels. So that moment, and then when I say yes, I go with full commitment because I've analyzed, I've prepared myself to accomplish the task. The thing is, then it may still fail. I may still fail to accomplish the task. So what do? Then it's the moment where we come with another belief, which is I must be authentic. I must express what happened. Because then by expressing what happened, by expressing that I'm not going to be able to deliver, and explain from a place of vulnerability and reality, then I'm connecting with the other person. So it is truthful that I am not delivering, perhaps, but I'm still keeping the trust of the other person. Because what really makes us trust each other is when we give the opportunity to each other witness us in truth. So when I see you in truth, I know that I'm not going to be surprised by behaviors. I'm not going to be surprised by realities that I didn't know existed. So I trust, and I gain trust. So the important factor to understand here is that people do not lose trust in each other because we haven't performed. But normally it's because we haven't been truthful. That is the direct link. So again, we come from a limiting belief that may be stopping me from being courage, from going forward, from making new plans, from committing to do things with people or with my family or at work. I go from that into, okay, empowerment. Okay, I shall accomplish what I commit to, always respecting the trust that people put on me. So even if I don't accomplish, I am connecting. So I've put in place a skill, a habit, a quality of my relationship with those that I am performing for or having a commitment with. I hope this has helped, but it's really a good idea of a belief system that a belief that was protective or maybe taken into totally obsession and really stopping us from doing new things. But how can we prevent others from stopping trusting us? And in fact, again, we go back to the same thing. We can never control the reactions by others. Okay, that's the other thing that is important, that we really get comfortable with that idea. We cannot control other people's reactions, emotions, and feelings about ourselves. But what we can do is to connect with them from a truthful place, so they have the best opportunity to meet us and to be cool, like Elise said earlier on. I know that there is a child listening to me. Okay. That's great. If you are letting your children listening these kind of conversations, I'm sure you are also very, very connecting with them at all many levels. Let me see other questions that you may have brought around belief systems. And Hazel, yes. But that leaves us to a place, okay, so what is the belief that is there? It isn't going to work. She feels that many times she was spoken over or ignored. Yes, so when you are overspoken, does this mean that when you are overspoken or ignored, it means it's not going to work? Do you mean the relationship? So this is really juicy because, okay, let's look into a situation that is discomfortable. We wanted to do something, we wanted to connect with someone, and then it didn't happen. And so we then take a conclusion from that. And so what is that we have concluded that will limit us from trying again? That is the thing about limiting beliefs. So again, I go back. Why is this the start? Beliefs are a way of defining ourselves. We are what we believe. And then we believe ourselves in what we are, the things we can do, the things we mustn't do, the things that others will do to us, the things that others will not do to us, the thing the world operates. So let me take one more example. See my notes. Yes, I think that a very good example of a beliefs that limit us for the next level. So it's the typical ones is that I can't do something without. So for example, lesbi spoken, I can't speak my truth without being judged. I can't be loud without being judged. I can't be myself without being judged. But one interesting one is the I mustn't do something. So I shouldn't do something. And let's say I mustn't express my passion, as it has been spoken. I mustn't express my passion without losing trust. Let's take a very specific one, and that actually it rings home. I was a lot of my time, so for a long period of time, I was working as a researcher. I was in the academic world, and we learned to be very accurate. And I loved it because I love accuracy in mathematics and models, etc. And I just expanded that into my present life, which is now a much more holistic and inclusive. And it's still very much on models and mathematic formulas and music, but it's just expanded, a little bit like psychedelics, I suppose, when our brain expands and we can see the world for what it is. And that is much more exciting and much more real, and perhaps the reason why we come here, to actually enjoy the world on all its facets. And therefore, I think that's what we do. We do real science, because real science is understanding the world and understanding each other and connecting and taking each other to the next level in community. Wow, fantastic. But it is true that I remember thinking that if I am pretty, if I come to work looking pretty, I'm going to be judged as dumb. So, and I was in biology, so not too bad, but it was a belief, that was a limiting belief, because I spent years going into that research department, not wearing the clothes I wanted. I was making myself small, unnoticeable, because my belief was that if I look beautiful, others will think that I am not clever. Or if I smile too much, others will think I'm not clever. That was another one. Or if I smile too much, others will think I'm too open and that I am saying yes. That's a very important one in the days that we are talking now about. Me Too. Women come and say, yes, just because I smile, it doesn't mean I am actually open and I am available to be intercept and to listen to comments about what I'm wearing or about my body. So there's a lot of these kind of things, of the judgment that others make of us just because of the way we look. So going back to that one, I cannot be pretty because I will be considered dumb, or I will not be believed to be clever. That really limited me for years and years. And I was in this place, and I was not the only one having this belief. In fact, all women and men in that department must have been confirming each other of this limiting belief, because no one dared to go to the department looking with... I remember there was one day I went to the lab, and I was in the lab on my own and preparing an experiment and really... And that day I decided, okay, I have a skirt, I'm going to put the skirt on, and I have this beautiful pencil crayon, I'm going to put a little bit of makeup, I feel it, wherever, if nobody notices, it's not my problem, I want to. And actually I got to the department, and this technician, lovely, supportive guy, but interesting, he's conservative, and he said to me, oh wow, you look so different today. Are you on a date? Are you going on a date? And for me it was first, by then I didn't know. I'm Portuguese, I come from Portugal, we don't use the same expressions when we're going to meet people. So I remember thinking, what is actually a date? I don't know, I didn't know. But definitely it was something I was not doing that evening. Anyway, that was not, I was judged. This person spoke to me as if, oh, it's special, and it's okay. It could have been very flattering. But for me, again, although it could have been flattering, it's actually confirmed that I was not free. I was doing something again that, if I should have just been kept quiet. And for years, I didn't pay attention to the way I made myself, and I love beauty. So it really had a damaging effect, and it took me years to come back and to change my wardrobe, and that, wow, you know, beauty is in everything, and it should be in the way I dress. You know, it's something really important to me. So for years, I actually felt very suppressed. And it took me ages to get to a place where I was expressing myself, because I had lost the habit of dressing up, of expressing my love for beauty through the things that I wear, and makeup or anything. So actually, when I then decided to change career, it took me, and I became a therapist and a naturopath and a coach, all these things that have come. Actually, it took me years to realize that, no, in a different environment, looking good and taking care of the way I look, and putting a little bit of care in my skin, and wearing beautiful things that can actually inspire others. You know, so because I changed environment, then it was easy to change this limiting belief. But I felt so constrained in the years before, and there was something unhealthy about that I couldn't identify. But when I went into a different environment, where there was a code. I shouldn't go wearing anything to my consultations. You know, there is a code in my college where we teach practitioners to express themselves, but to take into consideration that they are serving others, they are inspiring others. So how beautiful was to then let go of that belief that if I am pretty, I look terrible. I'm considered not lacking intelligence. That was so much, BS. And I'm so glad that now I am in an environment where, you know, I am not going to be judged in that way. But also, above all, I have pleasure. My life now adds that other layer, one extra layer of pleasure. So getting rid of that limiting belief with time got me to a place where I have more pleasure. I can be myself, and there is absolutely no link between being beautiful and lacking intelligence. But what I'm coming here to say is that let's not wait for years to go. Let's not wait until you have an opportunity to change the environment and to realize that what you believe in the way the world operates is stopping you from getting to get a different job, to get in a wonderful relationship that you are at, but with expressing who you are and what you want, and developing different interactions. What is stopping you from joining a better, healthy lifestyle? What is stopping you from creating that masterpiece that you have in your brain, but yet you never find time for? What is actually telling you that you can't do it? So rather than waiting years like I had to do with my, research kind of belief, accelerate that process. Analyze first, identify the belief that is stopping, making it very small, speak in the first person, and see in that part of that belief if it's limiting you or if it's protecting you. And if it's limiting you, then take responsibility to change the part of that belief that will allow you to express yourself. And that is the part of the belief where you are empowering yourself. So you place attention not in the fear, but you place attention in becoming safe, in being expressive. And that's exactly why we spend a few hours in the Woman of Me workshop and in my coaching one-to-one sessions, where we're like, okay, what is here that actually is stopping you? Because time is passing, and this world is so full of beauty. This world is so full of things for us to try. There's no more time to wait, you know? So what is stopping you from taking that step forward? So it seems a bit of a big marketing thing, but I do believe this is so important for us to do together in a group setting. You know, it's the same as meditating on your own, or meditating with hundreds of people. You should try. the connection human beings bring together. So we are going to have a workshop very soon in London. It's easy to get here. If you are already in London, it's even better, but come from where you are. Come to the Woman of Me workshop if you identify as a woman. If you do not identify yourself as a woman, I have other programs. Stay in touch. We shall do this work together. And we then learn skills and tools that empower us in those belief systems, in those beliefs that are limiting us. Sorry, I get a bit. But that's exactly what we do. We take ourselves from a place where we identify the belief that is limiting us, we empower ourselves, and we practice, because we spend enough time together to practice. So when we come out of the weekend, we have identified the Woman of Me, and we are got together in a place where the world looks very different, and above all, looks full of possibilities. And if that is not spiritual expansion, I don't know what it is. So, yes, stay connected. I'm going to say goodbye now. I hope you have enjoyed this, and let me know. We shall do another live stream soon about other subjects. I'm very looking forward to share other courses that I've got, and off we go. I hope you have an amazing evening if you are in the Northern Hemisphere, in this part of the world, not Northern Hemisphere, sorry, in this part of the world, in the UK, Europe. Enjoy, have a lovely dinner, nourish yourselves with wonderful foods, and yes, believe in the empowering new steps. And thank you so much for your love. I really need, it's something that, it's a belief that I've got, and it's not perhaps limiting me that much, but I do believe that I need your connection. So yeah, if I don't have connection, I feel very disconnected. So all the best, and yeah, see you very soon. Bye.